All right, let's bring in our next guest analyst, Oliver Sloup from Blue Line Futures in Chicago. Thanks for joining the show today, Oliver. What are your thoughts on today's trade or any of those products I just listed off those prices?
Well, it's been a wild week, and I think the markets, specifically soybeans here, just trying to catch their breath, which I think is probably a bit long overdue. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the volatility continue to ramp up here as we head into the end of the week. A lot of times when you get a big move like we've seen in such a short amount of time, you start to see an emotional trade, and a lot of times emotional trades lead to irrational trades. And on top of that, you probably have some intervention from margin departments as well, influencing price action. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the volatility continue into the weekend. Ultimately, I think probably a little bit bigger of a break would be healthy and more conducive to long-term strength here going forward.
I mean, where do you stand, Oliver? I know you look at other stuff. I mean, say the dollar and the economy. What's your feeling of the overall strength of everything as we sit here going into, say, spring planting?
Well, it's been pretty remarkable, and generally, you don't get these highs made this time of year. So, although I'm thinking that we can get a pullback here in some of these grain markets, to go out on a limb and say that the highs are in, I think it's probably a little bit of a fool's errand. We know that there's a lot of variables between here, the spring, and the summer that could potentially continue to propel these markets higher. And you had mentioned one of them, the dollar. If the dollar continues to decline, that could certainly be a nice tailwind for commodities, grain prices included.
You're right. And I'm guilty of this too. We talk about, say, Russia, Ukraine. We talk about interest rates. We talk about China. We talk about South America weather. But what we really haven't addressed is, we're going to be turning a wheel in 60 days to put our stuff in the ground. We haven't really talked about what Mother Nature might do here, right? We haven't really spoken about what that risk might be like going forward because nobody knows about it, number one. But that's probably one of the biggest things we have to worry about, and we don't really talk about it that much right now. It's been a lot of other things. And if anything affects these crops more than anything, it's going to be what Mother Nature has to bring. So we'll keep an eye on inflation, crude oil, and other likes. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to what the weather's going to be like.